Hey there, how are you today? My name is Dana Damara, and you have landed on Astrocast. This is your full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus report for this week. We have a full moon lunar eclipse coming up on October 28th, and it is a doozy. So I want to bring up the picture for just a second because, well, more than a second, because I think it's important. So just a little education real quick. So when we look at an astrological chart, blue lines are harmonious energies, and red lines are disharmonious energies. So I just want you to notate this big fat red scribble line here in the center. I want you to notice that. And I want you to notice it because it's important. But it's also important to note, because these are the things I'm going to talk about. It's also important to note this beautiful blue triangle pose. You can tell what I've been doing today. A little bit of yoga. There's a little triangle going on there. And so I want to go over that today with you too. Okay, so there's a couple things I want to talk about. Okay, one is that I'm going to stop share here. But now you have a visual, right? So first of all, full moons always create a sense of intensity. It just is the way it is. It's the sun and the moon are opposite one another, and this, the sun is illuminating the moon, and it's just the way it is. I mean, most often, if you talk to anybody who works in labor and delivery, they'll tell you that more often babies are born on full moons more than any other like singular day. Okay, anyways, that's another discussion, but really intense. Now, full moon lunar eclipses are specifically even more intense, and it's because it's a culmination or an end of something or a beginning of something. It just depends on where it falls. This one is tied to energy all the way back from November of 2021. Think what was going on for you November 2021. I had to sit down and go, what was I doing November 2021? And then I remembered, oh yeah, I remember. And so it's sort of the same energies, or maybe there was something you started working on or uncovering that will start to come to a fruition and a culmination. Now, because I showed you all those red lines, I don't want you to think like, oh my God, this full moon is going to be terrible. It's not, because it's blessed with some really cool two things. It's blessed with some really cool and calming energies. But slash and it's also asking us to, and the energy that's leading up to it has been asking us to find balance and prioritize our lives. And so if that's not happening, what happens with eclipses 99% of the time is they push you in the direction of where you're supposed to go. It's like the energy out there is like, hey, let's do this. And you're like, I want to do this, or I want to do that later, or I want to push that under the rug, or maybe there's some lesson you've been working on. All of it starts to come and make sense during an eclipse. And sometimes that's comfortable because you've been preparing, and sometimes it's uncomfortable. Such is life, hey? So I'm going to bring up that picture again. And let's just talk about this a little bit. So this is also a North Node eclipse. You can tell because the North Node is over here, down at the bottom near the moon. It's not conjunct the moon. And the South Node obviously would then be up here. Our solar eclipse, new moon, was a South Node eclipse. So that's an ending. And then North Node it's a new beginning. So using this energy, one of the best ways to use this energy right now is to just kind of close the doors and be like, okay, like I'm completely done with this. I don't need to deal with this anymore. I'm healed, quote unquote, healed from this. I'm done being undervalued. I am going to start this project. Like whatever it is, you're closing doors to the old and opening doors to the new. So it's a beautiful, beautiful energy, this in particular full moon. And then Pluto is really active, and you can tell just by looking right here. Like, here's Pluto. Pluto's making an aspect to the sun. Pluto's making an aspect to Venus, sort of. Pluto's making an aspect to Uranus. Pluto's making an aspect to Neptune. So Pluto's and to the North Node. It's not even written on here, and it's to the North Node, right? So this Pluto is empowerment. Pluto is inner transformation. Pluto is uncovering secrets. And but Pluto is also finally moving direct, so moving into Aquarius, right? As opposed to sitting in Capricorn since 2008. Still going to be there until beginning of the first quarter of 2025, but moving in a forward direction. Okay, so Pluto is just really Pluto energy, and the sun and Mercury and Mars all being in Scorpio is collective energy on death and rebirth. So we're in some big, first of all, some unearthing, right? So this energy unearths things that maybe we haven't been wanting to look at, or things that we haven't been wanting to pay attention to, or maybe lies that we've been telling ourselves or that others have been telling us. So things get unearthed with Pluto, and with Mars, Mercury, and the sun all in Scorpio. Like, it's just inevitable. This is going to happen, right? But under this full moon, what I would say, because I like to err on the blue line, the blue line side, try to, when we talk about tension, right? So when we talk about tension, we talk about disharmonious energy or challenging energy. I personally, and this is just me, I personally like to say, okay, I'm up for the challenge. What is it that I'm supposed to be learning from this? Or what is it that I need to see right now? Because this is uncomfortable. And if something's uncomfortable, or if I'm resisting something, like full on resisting, right? There's something there for me. Now, that doesn't mean I like run off a cliff or anything like that, or run into a fire, right? We don't want to do that, but we do at the same time want to ask ourselves, is this friction something that's been here a long time that I just keep falling into because that's what I think I'm supposed to be doing? Or is there something for me to learn? And when you err on the side of the blue lines, you tend to make peace with those red lines, right? So we tend to make peace with whatever's showing up in our life that's uncomfortable, either by saying, okay, I'm done, I'm good, I got the lesson for now, you can always revisit it later, or what's here for me. So I hope this makes sense. Okay, it's making sense in my mind, but you never know. Eclipses too, they also bring about unexpected change. So again, and whenever I say unexpected change, well, of course it's unexpected change, because we're just plodding along, thinking that life is going to go a certain way. And unexpected change happens, I think, when we're not really paying attention. So whatever you are manifesting, whatever you've been working on, whatever lessons you've been trying to kind of work through, this is all coming full circle for you, right? So just pay attention, and for some of us, it may be, for some of you, I'm going to say, I'm not going to take that, I'm not going to phrase it that way. For some of you, maybe you've been wanting to take a leap into something new, like a new job, a new relationship, whatever. Now's right after this eclipse, probably around the new moon, I would wait a little bit, is about the time to do it. And those of you who are wanting to leave or try something new or let go of something, this eclipse is that one to know which way to go. Okay. And remember that Taurus is about home and hearth and health and everything grounded, right? Everything about Taurus is grounded. So, and It also exemplifies abundance and manifesting beauty in our life, right? So this full moon for you could be as simple as start noticing the actual beauty in your life, as opposed to flitting around everywhere trying to find it. Already notice what's already there. Like it could be as simple as that. Again, this way this full moon lunar eclipse will affect you is going to depend upon how it hits your chart in particular. So remember, this is all general. This is what's happening generally. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's just talk a little bit about these. So down here we have the moon sitting super close enough to call it a pretty close conjunction. I mean, it's within 6 degrees. And so it is having an effect. So, I would say when the moon conjuncts Jupiter, it's pretty sweet. It's, Jupiter is about abundance and good fortune and luck. But Jupiter also has a dark side. Jupiter tends to, be a little egoic, maybe, over exaggerates. And so you could end up getting overwhelmed. So just be mindful with that. And then with Mars and Mercury are sitting pretty close to one another. They're within 1 degree of one another, and Jupiter is exactly opposite of Mars. So we've got this really interesting little red squiggly line there. When Mercury, it's actually Sun, Mercury, and Mars are all together, right? And so when Sun, Mercury, and Mars are all together, you have heated energy. You've got initiative, initiations, communication, day-to-day stuff, all illuminated by the sun and opposite the moon. So you might feel like this push-pull, right? Like, I want to go, I want to, okay, I have this, but then it's still like almost like a little staticky in the mind. So my invitation is to rest. If it's staticky, don't do anything, right? So with Mars and Mercury moving together, it creates opportunity for fiery conversations, for aggressiveness, for, anger out of control, for saying things out of context, or it's basically heated energy, right? So when energy is this high, you want to be mindful, because you don't want to come back and say, gosh, I really wish I wouldn't have said that. Now, I'm warning you right now that this energy will bring about an opportunity to create heated conversations. So breathe, use your mindfulness, avoid conflict, because it can create conflict. And because it's opposite the moon and Jupiter, it could blow things out of proportion, right? So, the eclipse energy is slightly volatile. Okay. So what do we do since we know that the energy is slightly volatile? Maybe we do things like swim, write in our journals, read a book, put our phone on do not disturb, only tend to the things that are absolutely necessary for the expansion of your heart, right? And then just kind of let this moon just go, because if we do that, then the moon gives us the gifts of what we're meant to see, and it will eclipse the things that we don't need anymore. But what you don't want to do is act out of reaction. You don't want to react, right? And then create an eclipse somewhere that you don't need to create an eclipse for. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting when you think of it that way. All right, let me share my screen one more time. So just one more thing here about Jupiter. So remember, and this is important because Jupiter is a planet of abundance and education and wisdom. One thing you can do with this energy, besides not overreact or overpurchase or, overinflate, right? Ego or money or whatever, try to take that energy of expansion into your perspective. So like widen your perspective on what you are experiencing, opportunities, even these things that are like uncomfortable. Like try to use Jupiter to widen your perspective, because if you do that, what happens, at least what happens for me, as soon as I widen my perspective and I zoom out a little bit, things make a little bit more sense. or I give whatever that is time to show itself, right? So with this full moon, my invitation to you is to chill out. You know, if you are a crystal lover like me, don't put your crystals out. Wrong answer. Don't do it. Save conversations that create a sense of agitation or frustration within you. Save those for later if you can. Let them sit, let them percolate, don't stuff your feelings down, right? Like if you've got these angsty feelings, do something to get the angsty feelings out. But I would be mindful on how you direct it. Be responsive instead of reactionary is my take on this. And if you want your chart read, I am doing a ton of readings right now. It seems like everybody wants to know what's going on in 2024. So if you'd like me to schedule that for you, I'd be happy to do it. Just go to my website, danademara.com. Go to the little thing that says one-on-one, scroll down, it'll say astrology reading. All the information is there. And just, you can also, if you can't find it, just shoot me an email. Hey, I want a reading. Just send me an email at danademara.com. Happy to do it. Really, truly. I want to say thank you so much. It's such an honor to be able to go through some of this fun stuff and, really get a little bit of energy preview on what's happening. And remember, I try not to tell you what to do. I try to give you ideas on how to harness the energy, right? So maybe just see how all of this lands for you. All right. I want to say thank you again. I hope you have a beautiful day. Happy full moon. Namaste.